Axe with Metal Nexus, and here with me right now I have the Greek guitar virtuoso Gus G. How's it going, Gus?
Always good, my friend. Thank you. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So you have a new album coming out April 20th through AFM Records, Fearless.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, man. I've had the pleasure of listening to that album for about the past month, and I got to tell you, it's really good. It's really good.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. I really like Dennis. You got Dennis Ward on vocals and bass. You got Will Hunt on drums, and I really like Dennis's approach vocally. He's kind of a smooth, kind of a retro throwback vocalist, and I think he really suits well with you with the groove you got going on the album.
Yeah. He's a really good singer. I mean, people don't know that because people know that he's a bass player of Unisonic or Pink Cream 69, and he does productions in his studio and stuff. And he's a really good mixer guy, and but yeah, because he's also a songwriter, and so he's been demoing stuff for a lot of bands over the years. So he's a really good vocalist. Yeah, and that's how we've been writing songs. I used to I send him the stuff all the time, like the music, and then he'll get back to me with vocal ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. So after a while, after sending ideas back and forth, you were just like, "Hey, man, do you want us to do this?" Or how did it come about that he actually did the
actually, that was in the end, that's the thing. We were kind of discussing who would be stepping in here and then doing this, and he would have to sing the lines that Dennis created and all that. And at some point, he just said, "Hey, man, listen, it might be a long shot, but I actually, at that point, it didn't even cross my mind that he would be interested to go out there and tour and play with me, I just thought he would, we were doing the studio jobs and stuff. But he said, I'll happily play bass and sing on the record, and maybe we can do this as a trio. And according to him, he's always wanted to form a power trio band since he was a kid. And I gave it some thought, and I'm like, wow, this is a really crazy but really cool idea.
yeah, that's awesome. How did so he's already committed to touring? Is Will Hunt going to be touring with you also?
No, I don't think Will is going to be following us because he's so busy with Evanescence. Obviously, they have a full schedule, so it was more of a studio job for him. I mean, he might join us on some shows if time allows, but I can't count on Will to do a whole world tour or something. He's all over the place with Evanescence, so.
He's a monster. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's one of the best in the business, man.
He is. He's worked with everyone. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna have another drummer, some other friends helping us out for the tours, and it's all good. Yeah.
Any idea? When does the tour start?
It starts next weekend, actually.
Oh yeah, are the dates already yet? I haven't seen them.
Well, we start in Scandinavia, in Sweden and Denmark, and then we have some shows in May in Germany, and I'm also doing this full metal cruise down in Spain. So yeah, April and May I'll be busy here in Europe, and then maybe a couple of festivals in the summer, and then it's going to be full on from fall, from September and on until the end of the year.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. So, did Dennis Ward, did he help produce the record, or did you guys hire someone else to come in and actually help, produce and give fresh ideas for the recording?
No, we basically, me and him co-produced it basically. I mean, he's the engineer, and I always have like a good idea of where I want to go stylistically wise, and I would just send him the music. He would send me back vocal lines and vocal ideas, and then from there on we just tracked the drums. In Germany, we flew Will in, and Dennis engineered, and then I came back here and I did the guitars in my own studio, and then also I used another studio here locally to track the guitars, and then basically send him the files, and then Dennis did his vocals and the bass in his own studio, and he also mixed and mastered it. So that was the whole process.
It's amazing now with technology how you can record from all over the globe and just send it back and forth to each other, and it's no big deal, just send the tracks, do your part, send it back.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, now with file sharing, it's the easiest thing ever. I mean, I've been doing that for years and years with Firewind. I mean, when we first started, we were basically kind of like a file exchange band. It wasn't a real band; it was just a studio project. So I'm used to doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least we got all together in Germany for the drum tracking. I was there. I was present for that one. His drums is very important. It's the foundation of the record. And then
absolutely.
Will flew out, and then we continued basically. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. The album, one thing about it, for me, being a fan of yours I've been on with you now since you joined Ozzy. That was when I first learned about you.
Okay, cool.
I'm a well-known Ozzy fan. Everyone that knows me personally, I've seen him live like 21 times, and I saw you guys in Nashville, Tennessee, actually on the Scream tour.
Oh, cool.
One of the best Ozzy shows I've actually seen of the 21 was that one, without question. He was really on fire that tour. I think you breathed a little bit of a new life at the time and really energized him a little bit. But that's for another conversation later. But this record right here for you, oh, you're welcome. I felt like it's kind of a departure in that it covers a lot more corners. I know a lot of the folks listening may not have heard the record yet. It doesn't come out again until April 20th. But you got a really solid ballad on there. There's some instrumental tracks, some radio-friendly rockers, and there's some just in your face, metal. The way we all like it.
Yeah.
Was that kind of organic, or did you kind of plan like, hey, let's do a little bit of everything, let's try to write, or was it just literally just as it came, you went with it, and they turned out how they turned out?
Well, the goal is always to write, to have good songs and good material, and stuff that we're happy with, and I'm happy with. So I'm always, I have like some little things here and there. I always like to have like a power ballad on the record, and I like to have a couple of heavier tracks. And I think about these things, as I grow older and have more experience in making records. I like to experiment with different tunings nowadays, and so I don't like to put a record and then I hear one tuning throughout the whole album. Like each song starts like on the low E or something, and all riffs are more or less the same. So I think about these things. I think about tempos. So when you start getting into the technicalities of that, then different stuff comes out. So then the album has more colors, more there's different sides to the album, and I like that.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Like for example, Nothing to Say, beautiful ballad. I think Dennis knocks that out of the park vocally. But even your guitar touch, your tone is beautiful. It's just exactly perfect. Another one for me that stood out was Thrill of the Chase, the instrumental. Mm-hmm. A non-guitar player doesn't understand. I do play guitar. The tempo of that song, it's harder to shred on a mid-tempo song than it is something up-tempo, when you're really just letting it loose. Right. And you're really able to display your ability by shredding over a tempo that isn't necessarily a shredding tempo. I really like that one.
Yeah, thanks. It's a more laid-back kind of song, a bit more groovy, and I don't know. Like in my mind, I was kind of like paying tribute to a lot of my '80s guitar heroes. From the guys from Mike Varney scene, like Vinnie Moore and or like a Joe Satriani kind of vibe, and a little bit of I don't know, kind of like I had a lot of my guitar heroes in my mind when I was making that song. So I wanted to have a good balance between melody, but also like. Yeah, the cool guitar licks. You have to have a couple of cool guitar licks here and there, to make it, to spice it up.
Absolutely. That was actually on my list here. I was going to ask you, who were some of your bigger influences?
Well, a lot of guys, man. I mean, from Michael Schenker and Uli John Roth up to Gary Moore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Tony Iommi, people like that. Paul Gilbert. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah.
Since you took over the reins for Ozzy there for about 8 years, I got to ask this question. You got obviously Randy Rhoads, Brad Gillis, Jake Ely, Zach, Joe Holmes, and yourself. Excluding yourself, who's your favorite of that era of Ozzy guitar player? If you had to choose only one.
There isn't only one, to be honest, because I like the Randy era and I like the Jake Ely era. I like a lot of the Zach stuff. Everybody had like their own thing, their own vibe going on, and at the same time they all fit into the Ozzy sound somehow. So yeah, it's hard to kind of like separate.
It's hard for anyone to pick one.
Yeah, it is, because I have like favorite songs from different albums, and there's different guitar players on those tracks that I like. So I mean, one of my favorites is Killer of Giants, and that's like a Jake Lee song. And then I like something like Over the Mountain, and that's a Randy song, or Mr. Crowley. And then you go into, I don't know, No More Tears or something. So like different vibes, you know. So every guy brought a different thing, different flavor to the fold.
As a fan keeping up with you guys when you were on tour, I had the impression that you were actually a Jake Lee guy. And the reason I say that... maybe, I don't know. But, you know, I don't know. It's kind of hard. I mean, he has such an incredible body of work that it's hard for me to just say, oh, yeah, I'm just a Jake Lee guy, like, you know, to the bone. And then that wouldn't be fair because I really like the other guitar players he had as well. Well, I understand.
In all honesty,
I'm right there with you. I love them all too, including yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a definite.
Yeah.
The reason
I have to say, I mean, I wasn't much of into the country stuff. A lot of the that Zach was doing, but I like a lot of his heavy stuff that he was doing. You know, I like how aggressive his approach was. So you know, that was a big influence. And then like I took a lot of the classical stuff that Randy did, and then Jake Lee just had a really cool vibe all over the place, you know, and I got a lot of chordal stuff. So I took stuff from each player that is added to my own playing. So, yeah.
Jake has his own style that no one really sounds like it. He's
very
distinct.
Yeah.
And the reason I say, though, that I had the impression you were a Jake fan is, as such a diehard Ozzy fan as I am, I know the set list in and out per tour, and I kind of know what he's been playing. And you may not even realize this if it was coincidence, but with you, he broke out a lot of Jake Ely material that hadn't been played live since Jake left the band. Killer Giants is one.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, actually, yeah, Killer Giants. I remember I was telling him when we first started hanging out in the studio and making the record. I was like, man, that's a really great song, and I grew up learning that one. I remember like my guitar teacher taught me the chords and stuff, and that became like one of my favorites because of a really interesting, you know, the intro is such a epic intro and the chords and stuff, and I don't know, I think maybe that kind of like went into his head and he started like thinking about it, and then he decided to try it out at rehearsals, and it, you know, he probably had forgotten that it was such a cool track, you know. He hadn't played it for years. But it was nice that we brought back Killer Giants for a while to the set, and then Shot in the Dark, and
I think you even did the Ultimate Sin a time or two also, didn't you? I believe.
Yeah, we did the Ultimate Sin for maybe 1 or 2 gigs, and then we dropped that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's awesome. You know, as someone like me that's seen him so many times, those rarities that's what you look for. I was lucky enough to catch him with Joe Holmes do Diary of a Madman one night.
Oh, that's cool.
It floored me. You know, he's done it
I actually got to see Ozzy with Joe Holmes in '98, Auspice '98, in Miami, somewhere in Florida. Yeah. Because I was visiting some family, my uncle in Florida, and Auspice was coming through town, and I was 18 then, and I got to see him, and Joe Holmes was playing, and he did a great job. Yeah,
Joe's marvelous. Yeah, his new band Pharmacos, they're amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've checked out some stuff online, and he's really good.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff I was actually kind of circling around to this with you. A lot of that stuff he said was written for Ozzy. And he later just used the material. He even had Rob Trujillo come in and play bass on the song, on the tracks, because he and Rob had written them.
Right. I bet. I mean, I'm sure because he was there in the band for 5 or 6 years, and then in the end he didn't do a record with him. But I'm sure he must have gathered a lot of riffs for him. Yeah, it's kind of like similar situation with me. I mean, like one of the songs on this record on Fearless is it's called "Don't Tread on Me," and then that riff was actually written. We had written that song on the road together with Ozzy. I mean, obviously the song had a different vocal line, Ozzy's line, and different lyrics, but the music and the arrangement is as you hear it on the record. And then I later decided, since we no longer were together, I was like, it's a shame. I wanna use this track, so we rewrote it, and now it's on this record.
Yeah, I've actually chatted with you on Twitter. For those listening, add Gus on Twitter. He's really good to get back to you. He replies to his messages. He likes your comments. He appreciates it. But you've actually discussed that with me on Twitter. So I was
okay, cool. Yeah. I like to check in. It's good to get messages from people. It's good to see. It's good to get feedback always. Yeah.
But absolutely. So was there? Did you have any more tracks? I know that's the only one on the album that you and Ozzy written. Did you guys write a couple more tracks together, or was there only really just a handful?
We actually did we did 2 tracks on the road. One of them is on this album, and it's like I said, it's a track "Don't Tread on Me." And then there's another one which was like a ballady kind of track, which I still haven't released it yet, but at some point I will finish it up, and I don't know, might end up on new record. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a Firewind record or a Gus record. We'll see.
Either way, it just helps add to the intrigue of the album, to the intrigue of the song. I had just received your album from your publicist in my email, and I hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet. But as soon as you mentioned on Twitter that one was written with Ozzy, I'm like, oh my God, I got to hear that one like right now to hear maybe what
so you were the one that asked me about that. Okay, now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. One more Ozzy question before I let you go, then we're going to move on to something else.
Sure.
He's really going on this No More Tours tour too. And he's mentioned maybe doing some deep cuts in on this tour. One of the songs he mentioned in his interview was possibly doing Waiting for Darkness from the Bark of the Moon album. He mentioned that he had rehearsed it a few times in the past, sounded good. So that got me thinking about you. Was there any songs that you guys rehearsed that might intrigue fans that you never played live?
We rehearsed a lot of stuff that we never got to do live. I mean, at one point, and that was like towards the end of the Scream tour, he had this crazy idea that we should do Blizzard and Diary back to back, which is a great idea. I think fans would have loved that. And
are you kidding?
Yeah. And so we learned all the songs. We all got together like 2 weeks earlier before we were supposed to start the tour or the initial rehearsals, and we all rehearsed. We learned the songs, and then in the end, the whole thing fell apart for whatever reason, and we went back and, I mean, it was only like 4 or 5 shows left on the whole world tour. I don't know how he decided that at the end, but whatever, it would have been a cool thing.
30th anniversary box set that came out somewhere around not long
That's
after
what it was. That's what it was. I think he was probably thinking because he had gotten those that box set, and maybe he went back and hearing those albums again, and he was like, fuck, I should probably do some of that. And
wow.
But then in the end, it didn't happen.
That's amazing. as such a fan, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, can I imagine that shit? Like I would have flown to another country to see that.
Yeah. I think we had like a gig coming up at Hammersmith in London. I think that's what he wanted to do there, but in the end, it just didn't fly. But oh well.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know Tony Iommi has said in interviews before that they would rehearse different songs for the set, and that Ozzy would kind of get cold feet last minute and pull the song from the set. He mentioned Symptom of the Universe and a couple of different ones that they would always rehearse, and then he would just pull it kind of last second. It could be something similar to that. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what the reasons of that were, because we never really discussed set list in depth and stuff. Usually he would just hand out the set list, and then eventually, we would just throw in 1 or 2 songs here and there. But I understand that, man. Like, in order to go out there and do, like, I don't know, and I'm not talking about, like, 2 albums back to back. I'm talking about, like, even, like, 3 or 4 new songs. You need to rehearse them first, and you need to have a few gigs so they can sit in well with the set and all that. So to do that, like, right before a world tour ends, it can be weird, So
especially when you haven't sang them live since you recorded them, like,
yeah, now of course, you have to also think about that. It was different keys. Some of those songs from back in the day, he was singing really high. So yeah, I understand if he had any second thoughts about all that stuff. For me, it's different. If I need to change a key, I just tune the guitar differently. But for him, it's not the same. So yeah, you always have to respect the singer, man.
Absolutely. But getting back to the album real quick here, your cover of Money for Nothing's interesting. You kind of started off with a real traditional guitar lick, just like everyone knows it, and then you just kind of done a key change, brought the metal into it. Where did the idea for covering that come in?
It's just one of those things, man. I just had I had like some short list of covers I would have liked to do at some point. I was just toying around with that idea, maybe doing like an EP with covers and stuff, and then
that'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe someday I'll get to it and do it, actually. But, like, I was thinking all these songs, and then most of those songs that I was putting down on paper was like, oh, everybody's covered all that stuff already. But Money for Nothing was at the top of the list, and, like, I hadn't heard any, like, interesting cover from that, or I didn't find anything on YouTube. And then, it was just one of those iconic riffs growing up. You just love it, and you want to learn how to play it on the guitar. And, yeah, one day out of the blue, I just had the idea of maybe playing it at half tempo, half speed from what it is, and then played on the lower strings. And I just did a quick demo. I recorded it, and then I showed it to Dennis, and I said, hey man, why don't we try this one out? And that's what we did.
Yeah, kind of made it your own. It's funny you say that because I was thinking about that earlier. I was listening to the record before you called just to kind of freshen up on it again. And I was thinking, I've never heard anyone else cover this. I really can't recall another person that's covered that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised nobody really has done.
I think a lot are afraid to.
Huh? What's that?
I think a lot are afraid to cover that song. It's just so iconic, and that lick is so like, oh man, you know. But
yeah, maybe. Yeah, it definitely has a certain vibe to it. So
you took it on.
Yeah, well, yeah, we tried. I think we brought it into the cool thing about this one is like we didn't try to copy Mark Knopfler and stuff. You know, I mean, he's got his own unmistakable vibe and style. So we just tried something else and did it on our own. So I hope people like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next? What's up with Firewind? You just finished a tour with Firewind, correct?
We did, yeah. We just got back from Latin America. So we just wrapped up the world tour for Immortals. We're going to do a couple of festivals over in Europe here in the summer. Not a whole lot, but then basically take a break because I'm going to be out touring with a solo band. And, yeah, we're probably going to regroup sometime in 2019 to write another record. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. So the new album's called Fearless, which, by the way, I wouldn't be an Ozzy fan if I didn't mention that you got a song with Ozzy called Fearless, which I thought was kind of funny.
You're right, yeah. But it's got nothing to do with my Fearless. Mine is an instrumental, actually.
Hey, let me ask you one more question I've always wondered about that session, with the Scream session. Mm-hmm. How much liberty did you have to make the songs your own? Because they were kind of already written when you got there, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, when it came to the guitar parts, they really needed guitar parts. That's where I came in, and that I remember Ozzy and Sharon telling me straight out, like, just, you know, don't hold back, just do your thing. Just, you know, we want you to play what you feel should be there when it comes to guitar. So they gave me full freedom. You know, of course, the songs, like you said, they were already written. It's not like I went in and changed the chords or the structure. But we created a lot of parts, you know, a lot of the riffs were in a slightly different form because they were very, like, chopped up on the computer and stuff. Because Kevin Churko, the producer, he had written them. And then, you know, he was not a guitar player, so he was kind of like trying to make rough versions of it. So my job was basically to go in and try to smooth them out, and then how would a guitar player play this part, and how would you do it? Like, how, if you handed like a guitar player this sort of part, how would they adapt to it? So, and there were like no solo parts or melodic parts, so we added all that stuff, you know, and that's where I came in. So it was a very cool session actually, because I had a lot of fun working with Kevin, the producer. He was great.
He's definitely forged his own path. He's
absolutely yeah.
He's working with everyone right now.
Oh yeah, he's huge. He makes some of the biggest records in metal right now. I mean, he does all the Five Finger Death Punch stuff. So he's definitely been very successful. Yeah,
I mean, a bunch. He's a drummer, isn't he? By trade, he's more of a drummer. Yeah.
Yes, he's originally a drummer. Yeah, but he's a multi-talented guy as well. You know, he knows how to, like, it was really amazing to watch that guy create a song, like going into a session with him. You know, how he starts from just like a simple drum beat and then adds layers, and then a few hours later he has like a hit song. It was pretty mind blowing. Yeah. No
doubt. Yeah, his productions are always they're slick. They're very slick.
Oh yeah, and they sound huge. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, guys. Well, Gus, I'm gonna let you off the horn here, man. Like I said, the new album comes out April the 20th from AFM Records, called Fearless, Gus G. Be sure and check it out. Add Gus on all the social media sites, because he checks this stuff. He gets back to you. Not a lot of artists can say that. I can confirm that he does do that. We spoke before. He doesn't realize it.
All right. Thanks,
anyway, Gus, thank you for the time, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.